Hey guys, Baduk here. And do you see anything wrong or less than ideal about this situation? Well, black is a little flat on that side. And so I'm going to show you how to think about customizing or altering your joseki to get a better result. Now, you may have heard about high-low balance, right? And that has to do with this kind of thing. So, um, if you play something higher here, let's say this one is classic. There's other options, but this one is the classic shape to make here when you are wanting to go high in this joseki. So this joseki is the super ultra basic, 4-4, 6 move joseki. So here, approach, knight's move, slide into the corner, and then 3-3, and settle your group, right? Now, bit of a rabbit hole if I go too far into it, but you also really shouldn't slide like this if you're not going to play some kind of extension, because this corner, first of all, did not belong to white yet. Like you could definitely invade, for example, right? Or you could be playing the attach and Hane Joseki, but basically like this, like 1, 2, 3. But basically, you could invade here. So this is not white's yet, right? And white has to spend a whole move to make it theirs. So when you slide here, you're actually giving white the corner, right? A smaller one, but you're giving white the corner and you're getting a little something. But that little something is kind of like 1 point. So it really doesn't make sense unless you are expanding something that's, you know, so for example, if it's like this would be a fair trade because you're expanding an existing territory, and in exchange, white gets the corner. It's fair. But if you expand something that doesn't exist, right, and then white got their end of the bargain, but then they just pincer you, then they get everything and you get nothing. You run, they settle this, they get this, you get nothing. So you should almost pretty much never slide and then just play away. Now, playing away here, although I don't recommend doing that kind of thing too much, unless you're really comfortable with it, because black can kick you and pincer you, right, and make you run around. But that's playable. That's possible. Depends on the situation. But at least then you have still some corner agi. There's 3-3 agi, especially if you have some setup like here or here. You could be attaching here and then you treating the 3-3 as a peep. So there's a lot of aji in there. If this was all territory, then this would be way too good for white always. So there's, yeah. So that's a little bit about that, right? So never slide when you're expanding nothing, right? You need to, you need to poof this territory into existence with another move, right? Now, the reason why people are afraid maybe to play something like this is they're thinking, oh, it's like so wide, I'm gonna get invaded, right? Well, the thing about that is like newsflash, you play here, white can still invade anyways, right? You can't capture that stone. So if you're gonna get invaded anyway, you might as well set it up so that, if white invades, let's say like this, you can attack it, right? Just like the other way you'd be able to attack a little bit. Attack, make white run around in some way. White's gonna play weak group. White's going to pay weak group tax on this for later parts of the game because it's a weak group, and eventually it'll have to keep adding moves like jumping around, or you can attack it and make it run around. Or as things happen elsewhere on the board, it might passively become weaker and become endangered. So generally when you make a weak group, there's sort of a weak group tax, which is like future, moves that you have to play for that weak group. And like if you look at this move, it's essentially 0 points in a way, right? It's just jumping. It's not getting any territory. So that's what you want. So white reduces your area, maybe like 15 points or so of potential you had there. But you get Sente, and you make white have a weak group. But that's the same kind of case when white invades here, right? But the difference here is in the event that white doesn't do anything and you get one more move, Even if you just play here, that's a nice fourth line territory, right? That's more points. But if you put it on the third line, now when you add a move later, it's less territory. So, you want to be more ambitious. This isn't even that ambitious. So, this is quite reasonable. It also has enough base, right? White's only good move is this. Coming this close is no good, because now black is solid anyway, and then and happy anyway, and white has a liberty problem. So white should keep their distance, and black has enough base there, and just chases white. In some cases, even like more harshly, but anyway. So there really isn't an excuse to play so flat like this in cases like that. When you have a flat joseki on one side, you should try to improve the prospects of that side for the future by going higher. By the way, it's also the same reason why often it's nice to send white onto the side that has the like the low side value because of this flat position sticking out. For example, let's say that this joseki happened over here, and maybe white has a stone here. Then, following this line of thinking, if the left side of the board, this side, is super empty, then you may want to consider pincer, because it has a really clear way of thinking. It's inviting black to come in here, to send black onto the side that's already crowded and narrow. This is narrow for both colors for future moves, this area here. So you play this kind of joseki. And white has sente, and white gets to focus on the side that had the more future potential and stop focusing on the side that already became crowded, right? Now, this is actually okay for black though, and the reason is that black's not exactly doing a side position. They got the corner. And corner actually transcends the whole idea of like what's the emptiest side. Often getting a good corner, especially not too small of a corner, kind of transcends that to where it's okay to take a corner even on a crowded side of the board when there was a side that's more spacious. Same with approaching a corner or invading a corner, like invading a 4-4 point or approaching a 3-4 point. Those moves can be best move or one of the best moves even when another side of the board was more empty. But in general though, one of the basic frameworks to follow is to check which of the four sides of the board has the most empty space. And that leads me into one more thing I want to tell you guys about, which is a very, very common logical pitfall and sort of a natural instinct that we need to resist, which is we have this desire to complete things, especially as we advance a little, maybe get into the stronger DDKs and the SDKs, even into like 3Q, 2Q, 4Q, strong levels like that. Even in those levels, we can often get really afraid of getting invaded and sort of angry about it and stuff. And so we start getting the desire to finish our positions, right? Finish them. And so that leads us to want to, now this is perfectly fine, okay? And we saw why that was fine is because even though this other side might be a better side, white gets to take the corner, not just a side, but the corner. Black, I mean. If black plays here, it's very bad. So black, this move is just super jealous because there's all this space on the rest of the board. Let's say this is like the first few moves of the game. This is just jealous and bad because black is actively playing onto an area where they don't have any future. Like after white kicks and plays here or here and black extends, there's no future territory now for black. All black can do is just do maintenance on this group, but there's no more big moves, right? And because there's so few good moves left here for black, it's the same reason why white also shouldn't want to play here. So seeing this move as protecting the corner in a way is a way to make this move okay. Or you could even kick to like actually block the corner, right? But let's say this happened anyway. So let's say it went like this. right? Or any kind of other joseki here. But what you need to do is not finish this area because you're just playing in an area. It's like there's some pies on the board, okay? And this tin of pie has only one slice left, right? There's only one slice of pie left. Everything else, there's like moves like this, moves like this. These are just crumbs. These are so small. All of the, actual pieces of pie are taken now. So rather than take the last slice of pie, it's better to go and take a tin or whatever that has a whole pie in it, right? Or half a pie, or like 3 or 4 slices or 5 slices. So that's why you should play in the emptiest part of the board. Because not only do you have like no more future here, but black really has no future here. In fact, that leads into another concept, which is when black plays into here, this is an area where only white could have made territory, right? Black doesn't have any space to, really make any points here. I'm not saying this kick is the best response, by the way, but just to make sure we're showing that white can prevent black from making points. So there's no territory here for black. So it's a one-dimensional benefit because when you play, let's say you play a move like this is a place where black could have made points and you're taking points there. So it has double benefit. It's the same reason why you should often second guess or sort of hesitate to go and reduce your opponent's territory, right? Or to start to claim some territory in the center. Because if the scale is humongous, then sure, but often the center is an example of a place where sometimes only one color can get points in that spot. But any move like this, right, or even something mundane, like if we look at extending here, right, this is still an area where, assuming the side wasn't super crowded, where both colors could make points. Like let's set this up a little different. So let's say here, right? Now, this might not be super attractive as like as a very early game move. Like this might be late opening, right? Or middle game maybe. But this is a spot that is big because if white played first, then white could make points. And so when white plays, like here or whatever they're gonna do, they're taking away, they're preventing while gaining. It's like double, right? And also corner side center. That's another good thing to remember. But so that's just circling back to not wanting to finish things, right? So myself included, and many students I've had, it's really common that players want to finish things, but it's really better to look around for the emptiest sides of the board. And you have to think from both colors' point of view, not just black, not just white. It's the same way that we calculate a move's value. You have to factor in how it affects both territories, like black's territory and white's territory. It's never about just what you get, right? So for this reason, white shouldn't be wanting to play more on this side because black can't really get anything here. So white wants to play more like this and sort of invite black in here. There's only one slice of pie left over there, or maybe 2 here. All right, so I think that's enough for this video, but we talked about high-low balance and building in a way that gives you more potential and improving your follow-ups, right? Making sure that where you're playing on the board, you're always gonna have good follow-ups. So yeah, in the example where we had this other joseki, which was this one. Yeah, like this, right? And this is pretty flat here, and then we had black approaching white like this. I mean, you usually don't want to approach from this side for the reasons I explained, especially since white's here and white can play really good reducing moves too to flatten you out. But sometimes this could just be the only good move left on the board, right? Or that something like this isn't good anymore, or so sometimes we end up playing this. But if this happens, there's really no excuse to play so flat, and now you only have a single 4th line stone. So this is almost as flat as it could possibly be. You want it to at least end up something like this. And that's not even impressive, right? That's not even the least bit impressive. This territory is just like okay or almost okay, right? So you need to hold things to a higher standard. And this is invadable anyway, so there's no benefit of playing this one, right? So play here, put more pressure on your opponents, right? Attacking them can put pressure, exploiting their weaknesses, but also taking territory more efficiently puts pressure on your opponent, right? And threatening and giving yourself better future moves, right? This one, or even like expanding like this, let's say. So, important way of thinking. Okay, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know what your thoughts are on this and whether, this helps you in any way. Okay, talk to you guys later.